Most gardeners ruin their compost by guessing. They guess the temperature, they guess the ratios, they guess when it's ready, and then they wonder why their tomatoes stall at mid-season or their leafy greens yellow out in beds that were amended with compost. Guessing is not composting, it's gambling with your soil biology. If you're serious about growing real food, compost is either your biggest asset or your biggest liability. There's no middle ground, and in this video we're shutting down 5 composting myths that keep showing up in backyard gardens, raised beds, and even small market setups. If you care about yields, nutrient density, and soil structure, subscribe to the channel now, because this is the kind of practical information that changes results. Let's get straight into it. You don't need to turn your compost pile to make good compost. This one refuses to die. Yes, compost will eventually break down if you leave it alone, but passive decomposition and controlled aerobic composting are not the same thing. When you don't turn your pile, oxygen drops, pockets go anaerobic, and instead of producing stable humus, you get partially decomposed organic matter and inconsistent nutrient profiles. In real garden conditions, that matters. I've tested this in side-by-side raised beds, one amended with properly turned hot compost that consistently hit 55 to 65 degrees Celsius for several days, and another with cold, untouched pile compost. The hot compost bed had noticeably stronger early growth and less nitrogen drawdown in the first 3 weeks. Turning doesn't mean flipping daily. It means building your pile at least 1 cubic meter in size, targeting roughly a 30-to-1 carbon to nitrogen ratio, and turning when the internal temperature peaks and begins to drop. That usually happens around day 4 to 7 if moisture is correct. When the pile drops from, say, 60 degrees Celsius to 45, that's your signal. You turn, reoxygenate, and it climbs again. This is where a real compost thermometer stops you from guessing. I use a long stem unit like the Rio Temp heavy-duty compost thermometer 36-inch stem. It has a 0 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit and minus 10 to 90 degrees Celsius dial, stainless steel construction, and a 36-inch probe that reaches the core of larger piles. The hermetically sealed dial doesn't fog up, and it's rugged enough for repeated insertions into dense windrows. If you're managing serious compost volumes, this kind of tool isn't optional, it's control. I've linked the exact model in the description if you want to check it out. Cold composting produces the same quality as hot composting. No, it doesn't. It produces different compost. That difference matters depending on how you use it. Cold composting preserves more fungal networks and can be useful in perennial systems, but it rarely reaches pathogen-killing temperatures. If you're adding kitchen scraps, weeds, or manure and your pile never crosses 55 degrees Celsius for at least 3 consecutive days, you are not sanitizing it. Weed seeds survive. Some pathogens survive. In a small backyard system, if you're composting grass clippings, shredded cardboard, and kitchen scraps, and you want clean compost for seed-starting mixes or high-value crops like lettuce, peppers, or strawberries, you need thermophilic activity. In hydroponic transitions, where growers introduce compost extracts into biologically active systems, starting with pathogen-reduced compost is even more critical. A cold pile that never heated properly can introduce instability into what should be a controlled root zone. Cold compost has its place, but, stop pretending it's interchangeable with a well-managed hot pile. It's not. You need expensive compost bins to make it work. You don't. Airflow and volume matter more than plastic walls. Honestly, I've built high-performing piles directly on soil with nothing more than pallets for structure. As long as you maintain at least 1 cubic meter of material, balance browns and greens properly, and keep moisture at around 50 to 60%, which, by the way, feels like a wrung-out sponge, the biology does the work. Bins can help with tidiness and heat retention, especially in smaller urban spaces, but I've seen gardeners spend money on rotating tumblers that hold barely 150 litres of material and then complain that their compost never gets hot. It won't. The thermal mass is just too small. If you're working with limited space, build 2 adjacent piles instead of buying a small tumbler. Use one for active filling and one for active composting. When pile 1 hits about 1 metre tall and wide, stop adding to it and let it heat. Start filling pile 2. Structure and scale beat gadgets every time. More greens mean faster compost, only if you like ammonia smells and nitrogen loss. Yes, nitrogen-rich materials like fresh grass clippings, coffee grounds, and manure fuel microbial growth. But if you overload greens without enough carbon, your pile compacts, oxygen drops, and nitrogen volatilizes as ammonia. You'll smell it. That sharp odor is lost fertility. In practical terms, if you're adding a 20-litre bucket of fresh grass clippings, you should be mixing in roughly 40 to 60 litres of shredded dry leaves, straw, or cardboard. That gets you closer to the ideal 25 to 1 to 35 to 1 carbon to nitrogen range. In raised bed systems, poorly balanced compost often causes early nitrogen spikes, followed by rapid depletion. Plants look lush for 2 weeks, then stall. That's not magic, that's imbalance. If you're serious, measure by volume, not guesswork. 2 parts brown to 1 part green is a solid starting point. Adjust based on temperature readings. If your pile won't climb past 40 degrees Celsius, you likely need more nitrogen or better moisture. If it smells sharp and stays slimy, you need more carbon and better aeration. So, a lot of folks think that finished compost looks dark, so it must be ready. But honestly, colour means almost nothing. Stability is what really matters here. I've seen dark compost that still heated up when it was incorporated into soil. That's a sign that microbial activity was still in a high decomposition phase. When you add that to a raised bed, microbes continue breaking down carbon and, well, they temporarily tie up nitrogen. And, in the end, your plants pay the price. Properly finished compost should be stable. When you insert a thermometer into a mature pile, it should stay close to ambient temperature for several days. Not spike, not creep upward, just stable. The texture should be crumbly, with original materials mostly unrecognizable. And, the smell should be earthy, not sour or sharp. In small backyard gardens, I let hot compost cure at least 4 to 6 weeks after the final heating cycle. In larger operations, I've extended curing to 8 weeks before using it in seed starting blends or high-value crops. If you're integrating compost into hydroponic systems as part of a biologically active nutrient strategy, stability is even more critical. Immature compost extracts can create unpredictable microbial blooms in reservoirs. Compost quality is not about speed, it's about control. Here's the bottom line. Composting is not mystical, it's biological engineering. Temperature, oxygen, moisture, and ratios determine outcomes. When you stop believing these myths and start measuring, your soil changes, your plant growth evens out, your nutrient cycles stabilize. If you're building compost piles without tracking internal temperature, you're working blind. A long-stem thermometer like the RioTemp heavy-duty compost thermometer gives you direct feedback from the core, not just surface guesses. The link is in the description if you want to upgrade your process without overcomplicating it. Serious gardeners don't chase trends, they refine systems. And compost, done properly, is the foundation of every resilient garden I've ever grown in, from dense backyard beds to biologically supported hydro setups. If this helped you rethink how you're composting, subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who still thinks turning a pile is optional or that dark compost is always finished. The goal here isn't more content. It's better food grown from better soil.